Hello, this is Dr. Smita Sakote, professor in MIMSR Latur, again coming up with a wonderful series of drugs. And we have with us a most dynamic, wonderful doctor, Dr. Anusha, who has done her MBBS from Adi Chinchandgiri and now is pursuing her post-graduation MD in dermatology from SNMC Bagalkot. So here we have this wonderful lady who's not only pursuing dermatology, but loves dancing, loves traveling, and loves reading books. So, when we have multiple passions, then we actually choose dermatology thinking that we'll get enough amount of time. But during residency, it's the most difficult because there are so many books to read. Definitely, Anusha, did you join with that intention that you can pursue many hobbies, but then now you have to read lots of dermatology books. So welcome on this platform, Dr. Anusha, with a wonderful drug. Yes, Dr. Anusha.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Can you tell us which is the drug which you are going to talk about today so that our postgraduates are going to be benefited?
I'm going to talk about itraconazole, which is the most commonly used drug in the dermatology, like for treatment of antifungals. Sorry.
Recently, just like COVID, it is, fungus is also a pandemic. So antifungal drugs needs to be known inside out. So let's know from Dr. Anusha, what exactly is the history or the story about itraconazole? Please tell us, Dr. Anusha, what is that you know about itraconazole?
Itraconazole, first thing, it mainly belongs to the triazole group of systemic antifungal. So the itraconazole, it belongs to the first generation triazole group, which was first synthesized in 1980. And in 1987, it obtained its first international registration. It was first FDA approved for systemic mycosis in 1992. Later, it was approved for the superficial infections like onychomycosis tinea in 1995 later.
Wonderful. Can you tell us what is the mechanism of action of itraconazole?
Mechanism of action, itraconazole, it is mainly a fungistatic one. So it inhibits a key enzyme 14-alpha D-methylase. So this is the enzyme needed for the synthesis of ergosterol. So this enzyme, it converts lanosterol to ergosterol. Thus, there is inhibition of the synthesis of ergosterol, which is a key component of the fungal cell wall. So there's inhibition of the fungal cell wall synthesis. Thus, the fungal replication is inhibited now. So it has a fungistatic action.
Yes. So itraconazole is fungistatic by preventing the cell wall synthesis. We would like to know how does it metabolize and what happens once you take this drug.
Itraconazole, ma'am, it mainly the formulations are capsule form, tablet, and oral suspension form. But most widely used is capsule form. So when ingested, the peak level is achieved after 3 to 5 hours of ingestion. And the highest amount is achieved with full meal and when fasted with cola beverage. And its bioavailability is 55%, ma'am. And the half-life is 21 hours. So once ingested, it is highly protein bound. That is 99.8% of the drug is protein bound. And it is metabolized extensively in the liver by the enzyme CYP3A4 enzyme. And the active metabolite is hydroxyl itraconazole. So, and coming to excretion, it is excreted mainly via the renals, that is 40% as inactive metabolite. And 3 to 18%, it is excreted in the feces as parent drug.
Wonderful. So basically, it is the hepatic metabolism and excretion, and primarily it is the renal excretion through feces. It is hardly 4%, and it is a wonderful drug. You take it with full meals, which is what would be the take-home advice. Okay. We would like to know what are the indications of itraconazole. As you said, it was primarily used initially for mycosis, and later it was being used for the superficial dermatophytes infection. Can you tell us more about what are the indications of itraconazole?
It is FDA approved for onychomycosis, ma'am, like for both dermatophyte and non-dermatophyte causing onychomycosis, and tinea infections like tinea corporis, cruris, and tinea pedis. And it is also FDA approved for systemic mycosis like aspergillosis, histoplasmosis, and blastomycosis, and pityriasis versicolor and seborrheic dermatitis. All these are FDA approved. And off-label uses are like Majuchi's granuloma, HIV-associated eosinophilic folliculitis, then mucocutaneous candidiasis, vaginal candidiasis, and sporotrichosis. So all these are off-label uses of itraconazole.
Wonderful. With this menace of tinea, almost in our OPD, we see around at least 30 to 40% superficial dermatophytosis. And definitely itraconazole is a boon to us for the dermatologist when the patients improve from their fungal infections. Now, since you spoke about indications, see, whenever some patient comes to our OPD, the first thing they ask is, what are the side effects, doctor? I want to tell them first effect to hone do. So please tell us, what are the adverse effects of this particular itraconazole?
Adverse effects, the most common adverse effects are headache and gastrointestinal symptoms like nausea, vomiting, GI discomfort. The other adverse effects are it can cause Stevens-Jones syndrome, then erythema multiforme and angioedema, which are highly less. But other adverse effects are it can cause serious hepatotoxicity, leading to liver failure and even death, and it can cause hypersensitivity reactions. Coming to cardiovascular, it can cause congestive heart failure. So caution should be taken in people with valvular or other heart disorders. And other side effects, it can also cause neurological side effects like permanent or temporary hearing loss, neuropathies it can cause. And in pregnancy, it belongs to category C. So it's contraindicated in pregnancy.
Yes. So primarily, it is a varied number of adverse reactions, but practically, as we have been using it left and right, have you ever encountered any of these things, Anusha? These are
no, ma'am. Yeah, but GI and headache, few people have complained. Other than that, nothing serious complication we have seen.
As much as I've seen many people complaining of gastritis, which is one thing. But when you ask them to take after heavy food, heavy meal, definitely again the amount of that gastritis part is sorted out. Wonderful.
Yes.
Can you tell us, see, many a times we are called as a reference person for certain reference diseases, by a physician, by a surgeon, by an orthopedics person, and most of these patients are getting operated or there is some major issue. And definitely they have this huge, extensive fungal infection all over the body. So before prescribing itraconazole, what are the drugs that you need to remember and what are the drug interactions that can happen? Please highlight.
As it is metabolized by CYP enzyme, it has many drug interactions, ma'am. Mainly, it can be classified as two categories. One is the enzyme inhibitors and one is enzyme inducers. Like enzyme inhibitors drugs they inhibit the enzyme, thus it increases the drug level. So toxicity of that drug is, you can see, ma'am. So those drugs are like calcineurin inhibitors, cyclosporine, tacrolimus, and anticoagulants like warfarin, then dapsone. So these drugs, they toxicity can be seen with these drugs. Like other group are enzyme inducers. So they induce the enzyme, thus they induce the metabolism of the drug. So efficacy of the drug is decreased with these drugs. So those drugs are rifampicin, rifampicin, then anti-convulsants like phenytoin, phenobarbital, all these drugs, and even with griseofulvin.
Yes. So either it can increase the toxicity or it will make the drug useless, depending upon whether it is an enzyme activator or whether it is trying to reduce the enzyme activity. Wonderful. How can we monitor, Dr. Anusha?
Monitoring, mainly the liver function test, it should be monitored with all patients irrespective of the disease state. So mainly the aspartate and alanine transaminases, this has to be monitored. And even the routine CBC should be monitored. Apart from that, there are no other serious side effects.
So how often would you like to do this monitoring?
Before prescribing, ma'am, then with continuous therapy, once in 2 to 3 months, we should follow up.
Dr. Anusha, can you tell us which are the drugs which interact with this itraconazole?
Drugs like calcineurin inhibitors like cyclosporins, tacrolimus, then statins, then anticoagulants like warfarin, ma'am, then dapsone, and these are the drugs. Then rifampicin, rifampicin, which decreases its efficacy. Then griseofulvin, then anticonvulsants like phenytoin and carbamazepine.
So primarily, whenever we have a patient who is on, and what are the history basically you need to ask is, one is the patient having epilepsy? Second,
Yes.
if a patient is obese, ask them for the history of, taking any statins, or is there any history suggestive of COX for which he is being treated? So these are simple basic on history basis. Probably we will get to know before we open up the file. The file of the patient that these are the drugs he's taking. So this is how probably clinically, we can think of giving itraconazole or not giving it, or giving some other molecule. So this was really a wonderful highlight. Take home back as a postgraduate, somebody who has not read itraconazole and just barging into the exam hall. Tell a very quick recap of itraconazole.
Itraconazole, it belongs to the triazole, and it is a first generation triazole, which is commonly used drug. And mechanism of action is important as it inhibits the enzyme 14 alpha demethylase. Apart from that, the coming to metabolism, it should be kept in mind that it is metabolized by CYP3A4 enzyme. So it has many drug interactions with it. And coming to adverse effects, it has common adverse effects like GI and headache. And these are the main things.
Drug interactions with statins, rifabutin, rifapentine, dapsone, and anticonvulsant.
Yes.
Otherwise, it is really a wonderful drug for extensive fungal infections. And can you tell us what would be the dosages of this, which we missed a point?
Yes. For tinea superficial dermatosis, 100 milligram BD for 2 weeks is used, ma'am. For onychomycosis, there are 2 regimens, that is like continuous or pulse therapy. For continuous, 200 milligram daily for 12 weeks it is used. And for pulse therapy, 400 milligram daily, that is 200 milligram BD. It is used for 1 week per month. Like that, 3 to 4 pulses should be given for onychomycosis. Then, for tinea, it is 200 milligram BD. And coming to children doses per kg body weight, it is 5 milligram per kg per day. And oral suspension, it is 3 milligram per kg per day.
Wonderful. So that was a beautiful recap of itraconazole with the dosages, drug interactions. So how did you like this wonderful small interaction about itraconazole? I'm sure all you postgraduates have read it in and out, but this could be just an event where we just listen to itraconazole even when we are going for a walk, so that we can just have a refreshment of those drugs which we have read and gone through. And now, since it's an era of mobile and online, so definitely this is a small attempt of ours to give the postgraduate student a quick fix with drugs. And this is a series of drugs in dermatology. Definitely do share with all your postgraduate friends, and not to forget to give a comment, because we have some wonderful postgraduates who are really sincerely working for us, who are presenting these beautiful drugs and coming up with this great knowledge of theirs. So please write down in the comment box if you like this series, share with your friends, and don't forget, if you are interested, please do send us a message, and we will also bring you on this platform of drugs in dermatology. So thank you, Dr. Anusha, and wishing you great success for your future as a multifaceted personality. You are definitely going to shine as a dermatologist, and you are going to be a wonderful dancer and an avid traveler as well. So thank you so much for sparing this beautiful time
Thank you, ma'am.
and sharing the wonderful knowledge on itraconazole. Thank you again.